I am the famous American. So let's talk about Robert De Niro. You know, Robert De Niro, he's still relevant. I mean, he was in The Joker. It just came out in a huge movie. Now he's in The Irishman, which I haven't seen yet. I'm sure I will. It's like 3.5 hours, so it's like I've got to commit my time to that. But Robert De Niro, when we look at Robert De Niro, no matter what decade, you know, if it was a Taxi Driver in 78, if it were 83, The King of Comedy, if it were, 1990 was Goodfellas, each decade, Meet the Parents, 2000, each decade that goes on, he still undeniably looks like an Italian American, at least the way that Americans view how an Italian American should look. Robert De Niro absolutely nails it. He looks like an Italian American. He just has this mob type presence, and it's undeniable. Even in Taxi Driver, he's still, like, what's his name, like Robert Bickle or something, or Travis Bickle. His names don't even match up. Like, you need an Italian last name. And Pumpkin or whatever he was in King of Comedy in 83. Like, dude, you need an Italian last name for your fictional character or whatever. But here's what's interesting about Robert De Niro. He and I are about the same height, like around 5'9". So that's a guy who's so macho and like so intimidating in so many of his roles. He's not a big guy. And he's not really that Italian. He's not this glamorized Italian American that we perceive him to be. He's often in movies where he plays an Italian American. Often. But he himself. So he's ultimately the same as me. He has one grandparent that was an Italian American, and the rest were not. So just a quarter of Italian heritage. Of course, notice I said heritage. I didn't even say DNA there. I said heritage, because as we know on this channel, just because you have a certain amount of heritage does not mean that translates into a certain amount of DNA, which actually that needs to be its own video now that I think of it. So I'll go ahead and do that. But there you go. Robert De Niro is not as Italian as we naturally give him credit for, but an American audience perceives the look of Robert De Niro as, yeah, that guy's Italian. Similar note, Sylvester Stallone, basically he's more, arguably he's more like 3/4 Italian descent, and then the rest is like, I think is Russian, Jewish, and French. So he's mostly Italian heritage, but there is some that goes beyond that. But Robert De Niro, not as Italian as we give him credit for. You're looking at this guy, I'm in the same boat as him. A quarter of my ancestry goes back to Italy. My great-grandparents on that side were born in Italy, and they moved here 100 years ago. So I guess I could end with this question. Do I look equally as Italian as Robert De Niro? Your comments belong right here.